Good evening, everyone watching live and on replay. Welcome to No Credentials Required, where you don't need a press pass to talk sports. We're presented by Belly Up Sports, an association locally in the capital region with Godzilla Media. To my right, I can never tell with these
there
things.
it is. There it is.
To my right is my co-host, Dustin Henry. Dustin, how are we doing tonight?
I'm doing all right. To those of you who are watching live, you can see the evolution of my studio setup in real time. Today we have a new camera. I'm working out the kinks. I need a ring light because I look like I'm coming from a bunker. I'm in a great mood. I'm ready to talk sports. Ready to jump in. How about you? How are you tonight?
I'm doing all right. It's been a kind of it's been a couple of days since I've had to digest, unfortunately, some events from this weekend with regards to football, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But in the
Yeah.
meantime, just want to remind everybody about our social media channels, which are right down here on the visual side: Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at NoCredsREQ, Facebook.com/NoCredsREQ. If you're watching on YouTube, give it a thumbs up. And also leave your algorithmic engagement content. We want your AECs. Engage with us in the chat if you're watching on YouTube, or if you're watching on Twitter, leave a comment. And if it's sufficiently awesome, we'll interact with you. If it's something stupid or bigoted, we won't read it.
Yeah, we're not going to give you airtime, but I will
No.
encourage people to engage with us, please, because at the very least, I want to hear more of that chime.
Ask and you shall receive, my friend. All right. If you're listening, don't mind our foolishness. If you're listening on the podcast side, subscribe to the podcast. Our home base is Spreaker, but you can also listen on a myriad of podcast platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, TuneIn, basically wherever you podcast. Subscribe, listen to the show, tell a friend, tell an enemy. The more listeners, the better.
Tell someone you just met on the street.
Exactly. So say, hey, I'm listening to this great podcast. It's called No Credentials Required. It's locally based. You should listen too.
Yeah. Bring people from Schenectady and Saratoga together all over the capital region. Come on.
Let's go. Let's go. And also, if you're any of the podcast platforms where you can leave a rating, leave a 5-star review. 5 stars is always preferred. That way, these podcast platforms know that this is an awesome podcast. And sufficiently, if you leave a review, I might even read it on the air, whether it be on the podcast platform or even a YouTube comment after the show or on Twitter after this recording. I might even read it on the air. So again, we welcome all of your algorithmic engagement contents. Again, Dustin just wants to hear that chime.
He wants to hear that chime. Come on, everybody.
Come on, let's go. All right, so tonight we're primarily going to talk about our NFL Week 3 reactions. And this was another busy week in NFL football, kind of unpredictable in terms of a lot of some games where you kind of knew what was going to happen. Some games you were pretty surprised at.
Yeah.
So we're going to start with on that part in terms of the biggest upset. We're going to go to our biggest upset. And Dustin, I want to hear. Give me your biggest upset of this week from Week 3 of the NFL.
My biggest upset for me, and there were a couple games that were good candidates, but my biggest upset for me has to be the Colts over the Chiefs. I was not expecting that, especially after the way the Colts have looked to open the season. They've looked absolutely terrible. Matt Ryan, as we've discussed previously, he looks like he might be washed. And I just was not expecting the Colts to come out and play the Chiefs the way they did. Although if you look back at the last few matchups, it seems that for some reason the Colts do seem to, I don't know if they scheme well against the Chiefs. I don't know what happens, but it just seems like they always play the Chiefs well the last few years. But I still was not expecting it. And Um, I know I saw the little bit of the confrontation that Patrick Mahomes had with Eric Bieniemy on the sideline.
Mm-hmm.
And after the games, Mahomes said, "Hey, it was nothing. I just wanted to go in and score, see if we could score some more points before the half." They were content to take just take it into halftime with the lead. He said that
Yep.
probably was the best decision, but he said, "I'm a fiery competitor." But the way that confrontation went, I think there was probably more to it than that.
Oh, absolutely, and we'll address that in another segment about Bieniemy and he's been talked about as being a coaching candidate for head coaching jobs around the NFL, and
Mm-hmm.
I'll uh, I'll talk about that a little bit more in another segment. But for me, the biggest upset was the Miami Dolphins beating the Buffalo Bills. I thought the Buffalo Bills were going to have their way with them with the Miami Dolphins, but don't chew that. Sorry, my cat is tag along's back.
He always
Don't
makes his appearance
chew
on
it.
the show. We
No
love him.
chewing. No, thank you. So my biggest upset was the Dolphins over the Bills. I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that it was hot, as your sister would say, hot as effing balls
Oh
in at
yeah.
Hard Rock Stadium in Miami, because apparently the temperature was 90 degrees. It felt like 99, and there's tag along.
There he
Hi, you
is.
saying hi, everybody.
He's taking over the frame.
He is, but not for long. Go in your tower, buddy. There we go. Okay, but it felt like 99, and it probably felt even hotter on that field. And the way that at Hard Rock Stadium is designed, I'm pretty sure Don Shula is laughing from his pedestal in hell somewhere. Uh, is that they have the field designed where they have the covering over the Miami Dolphins for the entire game, and the
Mhm.
sunshine is on the other side of the field. So the visitors get the sun while the
Yeah,
Dolphins get the shade.
they get exposed to
Especially at
the
1 o'clock
elements.
games. During
Yeah.
1 o'clock games. So, Don Shula, as far as I go, he was a master manipulator when it came to the Orange Bowl and Joe Robbie Stadium back in the day. I'm pretty sure he has a hand in that beyond the grave. This was one of those games, but like Buffalo, they left 10 points on the field
Yeah.
in the third and fourth quarters where they could have taken control of the game, but they couldn't execute, whether it be on the special teams or whether it be their offense. And I don't know if you saw the final stat for Josh Allen. He had 63 passing attempts in this game.
Yeah, it was a lot, and I can't remember. Didn't he have something like he had a lot of yards as well? He had I can't remember the exact number, but I will say what I was surprised about um overall is the Dolphins defense was able to get to him a few times. I think they recorded 3 sacks in the first half.
Mm,
Other people's may say, I know some people I work with are big Buffalo fans, and they were bemoaning about how they were missing starters on defense. But I thought I thought this game overall would have been more high scoring, especially with the way both teams have played in the first few weeks. Both of them looked a little bit off their game. And the thing that I noticed the most was the Dolphins got a few really long bombs, most notably to Jalen Waddle. And I think
yep.
maybe Buffalo has a potential weakness in the secondary regarding depth, because I think that's where a couple of their starters were out.
Yeah, Micah
Um,
Hyde's out for the year with a neck injury, so he sustained in in the previous Monday's game, so
oh, I
he's
did
out for
not
the year.
realize he was out for the year. That's going to
So
be a blow.
yeah, this was announced on Saturday, I believe. So
Oh, okay.
here's Josh Allen's final stats: 42 of 63, 400 yards, 2 touchdowns passing. Also ran 8 times for 47 yards. He was the Bills' leading rusher that day. He was also sacked 4 times.
Okay.
So Dolphins did get to him, but from the teams from the overall stats, it looks like I believe Buffalo had the ball longer. Yeah, time of possession. This is a
Yes.
time of possession. This was crazy. 40 minutes, 40 seconds for Buffalo, and they can only generate 19 points.
Yeah, and the Dolphins, what did they have? Like
Well, technically 17 with that butt punt. That was the extra two.
Yeah, but it was unbelievable. And you could kind of flip it and say that you're shocked that the Dolphins were able to score as much as they did with the time of possession being that out of whack, because clearly the Dolphins had the ball for much less time.
Yeah. Yeah, it looked like it looked very reminiscent of Giants Bills in Super Bowl 25 when the Giants had the ball for almost 40 minutes of that game. So this was, but it was an upset. I mean, good on the Dolphins for
Mhm.
taking it to the Bills, even though they didn't have the ball that much. But I gotta give credit where credit's due. The Dolphins were the superior team that day. I don't know if they're the
Yeah.
superior team in that division. Time will
No, I don't.
tell.
I don't believe so. I think Buffalo will rebound. I think this was just the Dolphins are the real deal, and I think they have now. We'll see if Tua plays Thursday night. I don't think he's going to.
Yeah,
I
that injury, the back injury
Yes,
he suffered in the first half. That wasn't a back injury. He was definitely
yeah.
concussed.
It didn't look like it to me. He was wobbly legged and everything. But
Yeah.
I believe I was listening to the Fantasy Focus football podcast today, and Stefania Bell was claiming that the team is saying that the limbs moving and everything was related to spasm induced, things. We'll see. I mean, I don't understand how he couldn't be in the concussion protocol based on my eye. I'll be interested to see if the NFL does, in fact, investigate this.
Hmm.
So, but either way, I don't think he's playing Thursday. I just don't think if it was a Sunday game, maybe, but Thursday, I don't think he plays.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know. They're playing the Bengals, so the Bengals had their way with my New York Jets. We'll touch on that in our biggest disappointment segment. And yeah, um, I'm going on another rant here. My New York Jets were obviously a disappointment, and I had written two glorious pieces on bellyupsports.com. They aged like bad cheese because they made me look absolutely stupid. I thought their offense was starting to get going. It did not. They didn't score any touchdowns. They had 4 field goals. By the way, I picked up Greg Zerline in one of my fantasy football leagues.
Greg
Or
the
trying to
leg.
pick him up. Trying to pick him up. Hey, Greg the leg's back. Jets fans give him a lot of crap for missing an extra point and missing a long field goal in week 1. He's recovered beautifully since then. So that's the bright spot on this team for the entire day. Plus the rookies, Garrett Wilson and Brees Hall and Sauce Gardner, who got in Jamar Chase's head. He was in his head all day long. However, my bone to pick is with Robert Saleh and that defense. This defense can't generate pressure for some reason. I don't think they blitzed Joe Burrow more than 3 or 4 times this game. They don't blitz the quarterback at all. They didn't do that the first 2 weeks, and that trend continued in this game. Plus, you have a 38-and-a-half-year-old Joe Flacco. I don't know if it's at his age or not, but you had a 30-something, a guy who is clearly not in the prime of his career, who's way past his prime. He's a backup quarterback for a reason.
Yeah.
They didn't start Mike White in the second half, which was shocking because of the way they could not generate any offense. And they were only down 20-9 at the half. But they're not taking chances down the field. Or if you do, it's completely misfiring. And you're getting eaten up, so to speak, by the Bengals defensive line, who have played pretty well the first 2 weeks. Even those losses, they still played pretty well. But now, now your offensive. Now the injuries are starting to mount up too. George Fant, he's on the IR for 4 games, so they picked up 2 offensive linemen. There's rumors of Elijah Vera Tucker moving from right guard to left tackle for Sunday's game against the Steelers. But DJ Reed said it best on Sunday after the game, where he's basically said, "Yeah, it's on all of us. It's all of us as players. It's all of us on the coaching staff." Quinton Williams got into it on the sideline with his defensive line coach, and what happened after that? They didn't allow another touchdown after that point. And they were still down 27-9. So again, my biggest disappointment because you made me look stupid writing those articles, those praising articles about the defense and how the defensive line could have eaten Joe Burrow alive, eaten his lunch in front of him by generating pressure, and they couldn't even do that. So they're my biggest disappointment. They made me look stupid. My articles aged like bad cheese,
Yeah,
and
that's
that
going to
made me
happen though.
look stupid.
That's going to happen whenever you decide to take a stance like you did and go out and make a prediction. You're either going to look great or you're going to look bad. That's the nature of the business. But I think you better watch it though, because you might be on Robert Sala's receipt list. You don't want to be on that.
I don't care. He says we gotta win a hell of a lot more games for me to collect receipts. So
Yeah,
do it. So
yeah.
win those games.
Yeah, go out there and this was the classic get right game for the Bengals.
Yep.
They were an ailing squad, and it seems that they were able to turn it around. Although I don't know if I believe it. I think it's just 1 week, and is Zach Wilson supposed to be in for possibly this coming week?
If he's cleared within the next 24 to 36 hours, he will start against Pittsburgh on Sunday. And without a moment too soon, because I am tired of seeing Joe Flacco's old behind. And yes, I realize I'm older than him, but in NFL terms, he's old.
Yes.
And
Yes, he had his time. We all remember the Baltimore and San Francisco Super Bowl, the Harbaugh Bowl, but that was many many moons ago.
yep.
And I was shocked that they still had him on the roster. Like I thought that maybe they'd go. And I don't know much about Mike White, but in my opinion, you may as well put him in there, especially in a
Yeah.
game like that, and see what you've got.
Yeah. The fact that he's more mobile than Joe Flacco probably has a better arm too. And he probably would have found the receivers that Joe Flacco refused to find on Sunday. Plus veterans like John Franklin Myers and Corey Davis have those dumb penalties, the roughing the passer, the personal foul that just set the Jets back further. Uh, well, I'm going to end that rant. Dustin, what about you? Who was your biggest disappointment this past week in the NFL Week 3?
My biggest disappointment, and it's going to kind of dovetail with what I would like to get into later in the show, but
Mhm.
I would say my biggest disappointment was the Seahawks, but I will say there's a new freedom in not expecting your team to do anything. They didn't disappoint me because I was confident that we were going to find a way to lose that game against the Falcons. If we have time, I'll talk about it a little bit later, but my biggest disappointment was the LA Chargers. Jacksonville is definitely a different team this year, but I felt like and I realize that Justin Herbert's in pain. His ribs are going to be an issue, it seems like, for a while now. But in my eyes, the Chargers underperformed in that game. Austin Eckler, they barely even went to him. He just hasn't been the player that he's been to start the season, and they need him. Keenan Allen, he was out, but you expected Mike Williams to step up. He kind of ebbs and flows. He has these highs and then he has these low games. It just seems like the Chargers couldn't click on all cylinders. And Justin Herbert, he's clearly not 100%, but I still thought they were going to find a way to pull this game out. And part of the reason they're my biggest disappointment is they are in a division where you got the Chiefs, and then they were widely considered one of the favorites in the division. And if you don't want the Chiefs to run away with this thing, you got to start trying to find a way to win some games and use Austin Eckler, because it just seemed like to my mind, he's a great pass catcher. He's a great running back. Use him in the check down. Don't have Justin Herbert throwing these bombs out there when his ribs are bothering him. He looked
Yeah.
off. They looked out of sync. It just you've got a great defense too, but it didn't seem I didn't watch the game in detail. I was watching red zone, but it didn't seem like the defense was able to create enough turnovers on Trevor Lawrence and the Jags to the Jags really surprised me this game.
Yeah, and they're surprising a lot of people this week. This AFC West, and shout out to my guys, Levac and guys. They talked about it earlier on their show. And I know they're watching right now. So because Jeff Levac needs to know where I am at all times because he thinks I'm stalking
Hey,
him. Just let
thanks
him
for
know
tuning in.
I'm home, Levac. So, but thanks for tuning in. I do appreciate it. But they talked about how the AFC West, and it reminded me of that meme of the Shiba Inu with the giant muscles, like AFC West. During the offseason with all these pickups, it has and the right side it has the Shiba Inu cowering in the corner. It says AFC West currently.
Yes.
So that would remind me of. But the Chargers, they got a lot of injuries. Jalen Guyton, torn ACL. He's done for the year. Joey Bosa, he's going to be sidelined for a couple weeks because of a groin injury. From what Brandon Staley says, he has a significant groin injury, and their right tackle, Slater, he's done for the year with a torn bicep. So they got some injury. I mean, Keenan Allen's been out for the last couple of weeks. Keenan Allen, who I keep drafting in fantasy football, but the only fantasy football lineup he's worthy of right now is the all injured list. He's questionable for the game on Sunday, but he's supposed to be coming back. So Rashawn Slater, he's out for the year with a ruptured bicep. Yeah, it's a laundry list of injuries for the Los Angeles Chargers right now. So if they want to sniff the wild card, or even sniff the division, or even the wild card for that matter, one of three spots, they gotta get their act together pretty quickly.
Yeah, they do, and I have no doubt that noted Chargers fan Arnold Schwarzenegger's watching. So shout out to you. Shout out to you, former governor, the Governator. He's probably very worried about his quarterback right now.
Yeah. I would be too. All right, most entertaining game of the week, Dustin. Who is your I have a feeling we're going to be unanimous on this pick. But what was your most entertaining game? What was the most entertaining game of the week?
I got to go with the Bills Dolphins. We've already talked a bit about this game, but this game, even though it didn't live up to the quote unquote offensive showdown that we all thought this was going to be, or at least I thought it was going to be, I'll out myself. It was still a great game. You had the intrigue of Tua's injury. Is he concussed? Is he not? How is he back in the game?
Mm-hmm.
And you had a couple missed field goals. There were some things going on, and then the reason it makes my list, honestly, is because the end of the game, where you're thinking, okay, maybe the Bills can pull this out. They're running up to the line. You know, I'm sitting there, I'm screaming. My brother-in-law's over. We're watching the games. I'm saying, clock it, clock it, clock it. The time runs out, and then we get that magical glimpse of Ken Dorsey, the offensive coordinator, just really going to town. I get it. I like to see that. I like to see that from my coordinators or my coaches, though. It shows that they are engaged. They still have that competitive fire. But the best part for me was when somebody realized, oh, this is on camera, and they just quickly covered it up. It was an absolute meltdown. It was the cherry on top for that game, which I think was a decent game, because you just wondered who was going to fold first. You know, no team was really taking that game by the jugular and seizing the opportunity. But yeah, it was quite a game.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, we're definitely agreeing here. The most entertaining game being the Buffalo Miami game. That ending, that very reminiscent ending of the Dallas Cowboys San Francisco 49ers classic playoff game from last year, where the referee didn't get the ball. Well, the ball didn't get lined up in time for the Bills to run on the play, and then you see that you see Ken Dorsey go uh, absolutely crazy, go nuts on
Yeah.
his uh his equipment, his paper, his papers, his tablet, everything he could have found in a 6 inch 6 inches in front of him. Whatever he could find, he was smashing it. But the one I think we may have touched on it before in our biggest upset segment where I talked about the Dolphins. I got handed to the defense of the Miami Dolphins.
Yes.
For as long as they were on the field, they played exceptionally well. You there it's a rarity. It's a rarity in the NFL these days to be on the field for 40 minutes and still win a game. That
Yeah.
defense was on the field for a very, very long time in those conditions where it's 90 degrees plus, it's 100, probably 100 degrees in the field. You're sweating like crazy. You're cramping up. Some guys are probably tossing their cookies on the sideline. Gotta get IVs, but full credit to them. They
Yeah.
had a monster game, and full credit to them for showing up and doing their job.
Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully they all got rewarded with steaks from Shula's Steakhouse, but it they are they are also they are also a surprise team. What I've enjoyed most of all about the NFL season so far, this young season, is probably there are a few teams that are doing well that I don't think people expected to do well. It's
Right.
some new names at the top, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always entertaining to see the league kind of flip like that.
Yep. Definitely. It shows that there is some parity that that the league has. It's still there. However, for some teams more than others, but we've already addressed that. Uh hottest individual oh wait, most impressive performance. Dustin, who was the most impressive performance in your mind from week 3?
Oh, for me, it's got to be one man. This guy's a one man wrecking crew this year. And I know some of you listeners that listen every week or tune in every week, you're probably going to say this dude picks a quarterback every single week. I didn't. I picked Saquon, I think, after week 1, but
Yep.
it is a quarterback driven league. They are the most visible. And with that, my pick is not changing. It's Lamar Jackson. He was unbelievable. He had, I believe, 217 yards. He had 4 passing TDs, 107 yards on the ground, and another rushing TD. And he's trying to prove to everybody why he was an MVP finalist, or he might have been the MVP in 2019. I can't remember if he was, but he has come to play, and he just blew me away this week because he doesn't. I think he has 10 touchdowns on the year, and he shows no signs of slowing down.
Yeah, you were right. He was most valuable player in 2019, so you were correct on that. Yeah, impressive game from Lamar Jackson, over 300 total yards, 218 yards passing, 107 yards on the ground, 4 touchdowns passing, 1 interception, and 1 passing touchdown. For me, the most the most notable performance for me was Matt Ryan. And the reason why I say that is because the first 2 weeks of the season for the Indianapolis Colts, uh, not impressive.
Yeah,
Not impressive. This
to
was a
say
team
the least.
that was supposed to be, I guess you could say, many could say, I wouldn't say run away with the AFC South, but they were supposed to be the they were supposed to be in contention for that division.
Yeah, they were supposed to
And
be the class. We predicted them both to. We
he,
we both predicted them to be atop the division easily.
yeah, and for for the first week, and they had to rally down from a 20-3 deficit. They were skunked by the Jacksonville Jaguars in week 2, and this week they come out against Kansas City Chiefs, who are heavily favored, and they not only hung with them for the entire game, but they came back in the last couple of minutes and wound up scoring the last touchdown of the game, and they they sealed the game with an interception by their secondary. But Matt Ryan, he's some say he might be past his prime.
Mhm.
He's definitely in his prime, but he might be in the later stages of his prime. 222 yards, 2 touchdowns, no turnovers. That was the big thing. He had no
Yeah.
turnovers in this game. But yeah, he had the touchdown to Jelani Woods with 24 seconds left, and he, I think this is 20. It says 28th fourth quarter comeback
Wow.
from in his career. So Matty Ice doing the job when the Colts needed him to get the job, and they needed a win. They were desperate for a win to stay alive in that division. They're still in contention with a 1-1 record. They're I guess they're half. You could say they're a half game behind Jacksonville for first place. So that was my most impressive performance of the week. And yeah, I mean, are the Colts back? That remains to be seen. Next week they have they're the first. That's actually their third divisional game already. They're at the Titans at home, so that's going to be a very entertaining game. And Titans got back on the winning side as well. They had the big win over the Raiders
Mhm.
at home, so that division is going to be very interesting to see. Now we saw it's a 3-team race
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
South, AFC South. So, that was my most impressive performance, Matt Ryan. Now we're going to move on to our hottest individual takes of the week from week 3. For me, there's a reason for me, and it's for me, it's that there's a reason why Chiefs offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy is not an NFL head coach at the time. At this time. We touched on it earlier when at the half of the Chiefs Colts game, there was that miscommunication between he and Patrick Mahomes, star quarterback Patrick Mahomes, and where Mahomes wanted to go for, he wanted to see if they can get the Chiefs within field goal range, or at least try to get a score to go up in their game against Indianapolis. But Eric Bieniemy said, nope, we're cool. We're cool. You can see, and if you watch NFL Red Zone, or if you're in the Indianapolis or Kansas City area, or watching or listening, you could see you can see Eric Bieniemy's lips. You could lip read, yeah, we're cool, we're cool. And as soon as the half is over, you see them jawing back and forth on the sidelines. And Mahomes, and as Dustin alluded a little bit earlier, Mahomes kind of he kind of brushed it off, saying,
Mhm.
"No, we're both competitors. Everything's fine. We're good to go." But there's a reason. I think part of that is the reason why Eric Bieniemy is not a head coach. And what's funny is that LaShawn McCoy during I think either during the game um, or during sometime during the game, LaShawn McCoy said something to the effect of in a tweet saying that Eric Bieniemy is not a great coach. He's just a signal caller. I'm gonna try to find the tweet right now
Oh,
um,
okay.
while we talk, but it's yeah. So there's a reason. I don't that might be the reason why Bieniemy's
Yeah.
not head coach. You just getting into it with his best quarterback, his best player, and
Yeah, I mean,
it's
I
just
will say anytime that your head coach has to come over and separate the two of you, there's definitely more than smoke there. There's a little fire, there's a little fire. So maybe this has been, who knows? It could just be the heat of the moment during the game. Maybe the Chiefs kind of felt it getting away from them a little bit. So Mahomes says, "Hey, let's try to get a lead on these guys. Let's try to get as many points as possible." Because maybe he had a feeling for the game that it was going to come down, that maybe they weren't going to come out on top. But um, yeah, you have to wonder. And also, LaShawn McCoy, he doesn't, since he's not in the NFL anymore, he doesn't have to be, he doesn't have to censor his takes, so
no.
he was in Kansas City, and he also played under Andy Reid in Philadelphia, if
Mm-hmm.
if memory serves. So he's got a lot of experience with Coach Reed, and also from his time on the Chiefs. He played under Eric Bieniemy, so
Yep.
who knows? Maybe Eric Bieniemy, he's considered up and coming talent in the NFL. A lot of people have said, "Oh, he's going to be a head coach in this league one day," but you have to wonder, maybe he'll be like the classic example is Wade Phillips. Wade Phillips is an amazing defensive coordinator, but anytime he's gotten an opportunity to be a head coach, hasn't really gone as well as people would have hoped. He's had his moments. I think he had a decent run with Dallas at some point, but he never was able to take his teams over the hump. But then he goes back and gets hired as a D coordinator, and his defenses are amazing again.
Yeah.
So,
So
maybe it's one of those.
yeah. So this is actually he chimed in on it was on Instagram, and this is what he said, and I'm quoting. He says, all Bieniemy does is argue with the players. And he puts in caps, knows nothing about passing or play calling.
Wow.
He said that
Wa-
in caps, and yeah,
Wow.
it may be true. I mean, you see that right there on national TV. They're arguing. He and Mahomes are arguing about what they're doing in the second half, at the end of the first half, and apparently Andy Reid did not take too kindly to the comment uh, that LaShawn McCoy said on social media. But
Yeah,
I don't know. He
but
could be
he's got
right.
to. Yeah, maybe. And the thing is, Andy Reid's got to stick up for his coordinator. I mean,
Yeah,
you can't throw him under the bus like that. So, it may not necessarily be that he thinks that LaShawn McCoy is that wrong, but he could never say that. He has to come to his defense. So,
yeah. Now, for you, Dustin, what was your hottest individual take of the week?
well, my hottest individual take is kind of just the impact of coaching, competent coaching, I would say, can have on the development of a young player or any player. In baseball, it used to be that the Pittsburgh Pirates used to for a couple of years they were known for taking pitchers and developing them, and San Francisco seems to be the latest like reclamation project in baseball that Kevin Gausman signed there. They fixed his mechanics, and now he's dominating with the Toronto Blue Jays after years of struggling, I believe, with the Orioles. But I want to talk about my football equivalent of this, and that is with the development of Trevor Lawrence in Jacksonville. I mean, look at the difference between Trevor Lawrence this year as opposed to last year under Urban Meyer. Urban Meyer's team was an absolute joke. It was it was a dumpster fire. Trevor Lawrence looked out of sorts, but in his defense, how could have as more and more came out about the Urban Meyer story, how could anybody have played well under those conditions? It sounds like absolute just a garbage take. And Urban Meyer, like I said, absolute joke of a human. I'm not going to get into the reasons why I think so, but the job that Doug Peterson has done just to come in and kind of right the ship. He's a former quarterback in the NFL. He clearly knows what he's doing with quarterbacks. Look what he did with Carson Wentz and Nick Folk or Nick. Who am I thinking of? It's not Nick Folk. He's the kicker.
That's Nick Foles.
Nick Foles. I knew it was an F.
Yep.
Look what he did with those two in Philadelphia. Trevor Lawrence looks like a different man this year, and it looks like he's going to realize his talent and potential because he looks great early. Jacksonville went out and made some good signings. It seems Christian Kirk seems to be worth every penny that they paid him at this point.
Yeah.
James Robinson looks great. Jacksonville looks like a competent offense for the first time in a long time. Well, they had a good season a few years ago, but I think that was largely based on their defensive prowess, if memory serves. Jacksonville looks very competent. Trevor Lawrence looks reborn under Doug Peterson's, I would assume, calming influence and steady hand. And if we need more examples of this, you can look at it. Jeff Fisher when when he was coaching the Rams, he said that Jared Goff was far away from a starter in the NFL. He had him, I think they had him fourth on the depth chart. Sean McVay
Oh,
gets him. Sean McVay gets there, goes to the Super Bowl with Jared Goff as his
yeah,
quarterback. And now we see what Jared Goff is doing in Detroit. He's far from a Hall of Famer at this juncture, but he's clearly good enough to be a starter in the NFL. It just shows the impact that coaching can have,
yeah,
especially with the development of a younger player.
yeah. Absolutely. No, I don't disagree with you there. For me, I thought, yeah, and you absolutely are correct in that Trevor Lawrence looks like a completely different quarterback this season. And the fact that he has a former quarterback as his head coach makes a world of difference because that coach knows the struggles that you're going through.
Mm.
He's been in your shoes. So for that to happen, I don't think the Jaguars could have hired a better guy to be their head coach for a young man like Trevor Lawrence. Now, as for Urban Meyer, I liked Urban Meyer. I thought he was. I followed him at Bowling when he started at Bowling Green.
Mm-hmm.
Then he went to Utah, made
Yep.
that program into what they were. Went to Florida, won a couple of national titles with Tim Tebow. They stepped away for a year, went to Ohio State, turned them into national champions before resigning again, this time for health reasons.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden Shad Khan decides to hire him out of the blue as a head coach, and all the trials that he put that franchise through for less than a season. It
Yeah.
was well documented, and he
Yeah.
was trying to treat those players like they were college recruits. You can't treat professional football players like college recruits.
No.
They're much more mature. They know that, and it's you just yeah you got to treat them different. Like if you're kicking, you're tapping the kicker, saying hey dip s make a field goal, and either kicking him or I don't know if it was a gentle just like a tap or a
Yeah.
literal kick, like it kicked him right in the foot. You can't do that to
No.
a professional athlete.
No.
You most certainly can't get away with it in college football these days. Now that they have name, image, likeness, you're not going
No.
to get away with that.
No, the days of what was it? Former well, it was Mike Leach, but he locked somebody in like a tool shed or something, like a utility shed like a few years ago.
Yeah,
I can't remember. It was a number of years ago, but yeah, you can't get away with some of this stuff now. But yeah, I mean, Urban Meyer, it would, like you said, it was well documented. But the main problem I had is he's telling his players that they've got to own up to their mistakes, and then he's out doing what he's doing. So it was
cavorting
just
with co-ed, allegedly
yeah,
cavorting with co-eds, and
yeah, yeah.
yeah, but
So you can't, especially I have a problem if people want to treat others like that. If you're going to treat others like that, you got to keep your own house in order.
yep,
And sure enough, people came for him, because like you said, you can't treat pros like a college recruit.
yeah. What's the expression? Don't throw stones in glass houses or something like
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
something like that. Or something. All right, we're going to move quickly to week 4, what we're looking forward to. We're going to start with the most intriguing matchup. Dustin, we're going to, and just very quickly, which game are you most forward to, intrigues you the most this week in week 4?
The game that I'm most looking forward to, and I guess I have a theme, but to me, it's the Jags versus the Eagles.
Hmm.
The Eagles look like absolute world destroyers. Jalen Hurts is another guy that few people outside the Eagles organization seem to have faith in. And there was a lot of rumors that, the Eagles are going to draft this quarterback or they're going to draft that quarterback. Well, I think Jalen Hurts has gone a long way in silencing any of that talk.
Right.
The Eagles have an amazing wide receiver core with the addition of AJ Brown. Devonta Smith looks unbelievable there.
Oh,
They
I'd benched Devontae Smith in my fantasy league this
oh
week
man.
in our guys not out league, and I lost by a lot more than I should have. But
Oh
yeah.
man, I lost by like a point. I was very
Oh,
very very disappointed. But
But I'm
this
still
is
perfect in the Godzilla Media League. I'm still perfect.
there you go. There you go. Well, that's because you were drafted in OBX. You were relaxed
That's
during that
true.
one.
Yep, exactly. Enjoying a cigar and
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. And a movie by the pool.
yep,
But
great.
but yeah, I have to say, and the Jags, as we just went over, for a variety of reasons, have been one of the most pleasant surprises in the NFL this year. So I'm
Hmm.
very excited about this game and what it potentially could be.
All right, for me, my most intriguing matchup will be the Monday night matchup between the Rams and the 49ers. I want to see the 49ers can get back on track. And they're at home, so I think they should. It's going to
Mhm.
be against the Rams, who are one of those curious teams. I mean, 2 weeks ago they almost blew a big lead to the Falcons, and they barely squeaked out a win against the Cardinals. Their defense did a good job containing Kyler Murray, but
Yes.
I kind of wonder. I mean, this is going to be this is the rematch of the NFC Championship game, where the Rams came back and beat the 49ers. But for me, this will decide. I mean, this will have this game. Whoever wins this game will have the inside track to the NFC West this year. And for me, it was a toss up between the Rams and the 49ers this year. We both picked. I believe they both picked the Rams to win the NFC West. But I had the 49ers as a wild card team. So
Mhm.
but it's going to be interesting to see how Jimmy Jimmy Garoppolo will respond after last week's dud against the Denver Broncos, which is another team we're going to talk about in just
Oh
a moment
man.
or two. And I'm just gonna. It's a Monday night game, so obviously the big lights in Santa Clara, and it's gonna be a fun game to watch, primarily because both defenses are, their defenses are who they are. But it's just gonna be one of those matchups between Kyle Shanahan and Sean McVay, who I guess have a mutual begrudging respect for each other
Mhm.
because they play each other so many times over the last three seasons. So
Yeah.
that's my most intriguing matchup for week 4.
No, that could be a good one.
Yeah. All right. So team most desperate for a win for me last week. I'm going to repeat just like for last week. The Las Vegas Raiders, the only winless team in the NFL, and until they win a game, I will maintain my stance that uh, Josh McDaniels is the AFC's version of Mike McCarthy, no relation. And I guess after the game on Sunday against Tennessee, owner Mark Davis and he had a very long private discussion about the game and about the team going forward. So this week, let me see who they got this week.
Maybe he was talking to Mark Davis about that haircut of his, which apparently
No, I've
Mark
got a
Davis.
barber I need to recommend.
Yeah, because apparently Mark Davis like goes out of his way to get that haircut. Like he flies to a specific location or whatever. I get.
Yep. And he has lunch at the same PF Chang's in the same seat every single day. But no, this week they got they host the Broncos in a divisional matchup, their first divisional matchup of the year. And this is going to be the get right game for the Raiders, because the Broncos offense is absolutely terrible,
Oh my
and
goodness.
the the Raiders got to make some adjustments, most notably run the football. And I think if they run the football, they'll win. But keep if they keep putting all their reliance on the offense on Derek Carr, this team's in trouble. So they're
Yeah,
the most desperate team. I think they're the team that's most desperate for a win this week.
yeah, I mean, I'm almost tempted to agree with you there, and I think part of it, and this is my uneducated opinion, but I think part of it is they may be too they they have Devonte Adams, and I think they want to show him off, and I think they're becoming too reliant on getting him the ball to where
Yep.
they're trying to force it. And much has been made about the connection that he and Derek Carr have going back all the way to college. But you're right. When you have a running attack that has worked in the past, use it because the Raiders. they for the last couple weeks now, they've either been up big in a game and then blew the lead, or they've gotten beat for the majority of the game and then come back and made it entertaining in the end, but it
Right.
hasn't resulted in a win.
Mm-hmm.
And but maybe Josh Jacobs is gassed from all that usage in the Hall of Fame game.
Yeah.
Who knows?
How about you, Dustin? What's the most? Who's the team in your mind most desperate for a win?
For me, if we're going to stay in that same division, I'm going to say it's the LA Chargers again because you
Mhm.
cannot fall behind the pace of the Chiefs. Now, the entire AFC West kind of had a down week. I mean, I know the Broncos have, I think they have 2 wins after 3 weeks, but they are
Yep.
I would argue they are the shakiest 2-win team in the entire NFL. I don't know what's wrong with the Broncos, but to me, the Chargers, like you're saying, if they want to contend for possibly the division or the wild card, they've got to win quick to keep pace because the Chiefs are going to rebound.
Yeah.
That's coming.
All right, moving quickly through to the game. We would rather drink castor oil than watch this game. I have the Browns at the Falcons. Although it could be an entertaining game. They both have pretty entertaining offenses, but I don't know. There's just something about this game that makes me say that gives me pause. And I'm not sure why, but I would rather drink castor oil than watch this game. What about you, Dustin? How about you, Dustin? Which game is it for you?
To me, I could not put the Falcons on my list after putting them on the list last week and then watching what happens because at least the Falcons have Kyle Pitts and he's fun to watch.
Yeah.
And Marcus Mariota also is going to run around a bit back there. And then you wonder, are the Falcons going to keep this closer than it deserves to be? That seems to be their theme after after the first few weeks of the NFL season. But the game for me is the Giants versus the Bears, I
Oof.
believe. That Justin Fields, we've both talked about it. We think he's going to be a star, but the Bears offense really needs some work. Maybe Khalil Herbert if he plays, because I think David Montgomery, there's a chance he might not play. Khalil Herbert had a great game last week. Maybe he comes and runs the ball. Saquon looks rejuvenated this year. He looks like himself. So maybe it'll be a great running attack game, but both of these offenses, they just haven't shown me enough to where I believe that this is going to be an entertaining game. I'm sorry to any Giants fans out there. I'm sorry to any Bears fans out there, but I am not going to be tuning in to watch this game.
All right, I'm actually going to change my game. So, because I kind of talked myself out of the Cleveland and Atlanta. By the way, we do have our first London game this week,
Mm-hmm.
Minnesota against New Orleans at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in downtown London. The game that I would rather drink castor oil than watch is my New York Jets and the Pittsburgh Steelers because Mitchell Trubisky is not a good quarterback. And as much as I want to see I want to see Zach Wilson in the backfield, hopefully taking the Jets better better days, to better
Mm-hmm.
things. I don't know. I mean, this is gonna be in the back of my mind. It's gonna be a low scoring affair. If either team breaks 20 points, I'll be very surprised. So yeah, and I'm supposed to be the beat writer for the New York Jets for sports.com. I would rather drink castor oil than watch that game.
Well, you don't have to drink castor oil, but maybe you have to write an article about it. So
I do. I do. All right, player we're both watching in week 3. I'm just gonna go quickly because we're gonna wrap up the show in a couple minutes or so. Trevor Lawrence, definitely the player that we're both watching next week
yes.
for sure. I guess especially against Philadelphia. It's interesting. Philadelphia, they score a lot of points in the first half and they just don't seem to score in the second half. So I want to see what kind of game they play against the Jaguars team that's, as you mentioned, Dustin, is very. Uh, that's your game of the week. That's
Yeah.
your game
Oh,
to
yeah.
watch this week.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've got a comment from my buddy Brian Snow, Snowman in the Morning, with Cole Johnson. Jets at Steelers, the drinking game. Yeah, it's gonna be a game you're gonna have to drink throughout to get through. And if you missed my segment on Snowman on Monday morning, when I came into camera, I had a bottle of bourbon in one hand and a glass in another, going, I kind of want to drink this, but it's Monday morning, so I shouldn't. All right, we're gonna move on to our next couple of topics in just a moment. But first, I want to remind you, we've got to pay some bills around here. I want to tell you about one of our partners at Godzilla Media. That's Mohawk Honda. They want to buy your car. Crisp morning air, pumpkin muffins, beautiful foliage. I got it right this week, and
Yes,
just
you
like
did.
that, it's fall. And if you're a basic white girl, it's also pumpkin spice, everything in UGG boots. The season may change, but one constant is buying experience at Mohawk Honda, where you are greeted with a smile and treated with respect. The new vehicle inventory is ripping up too, with pilots, passports, and ridgelines. Remember, this is the best time to sell your vehicle. They want to buy your car, and in some cases, Mohawk Honda may be able to sell it. You may be able to sell it to them for more than you paid for it. And it's just another advantage you'll get from the number one volume dealer in the capital region. General Manager Greg Johnson and his team of sales associates are always available to help you in the buying process. And Scott Moynihan, bringing his 30 plus years of automotive experience back with him to Mohawk Honda. Stop in and welcome Scott home. You can also see my guy, Easy Evans Whalen. As you know, I've talked about before, he got me into the loving arms or loving wheels of a 2016 Honda HRV. Yes, the season's changed, but at Mohawk Honda on Freeman's Bridge Road in Scotia, or if you're up and down the eastern seaboard at mohawkhonda.com, we always go out of our way to please you. All right. We got another comment in the chat. Coughing with McCarthy, the other drinking game. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely, Snowman. Absolutely. All right. We're going to quickly touch upon the New York Yankees and Aaron Judge tonight. Currently, it's 7 p.m. on the East Coast. The Yankees are playing the Toronto Blue Jays in Toronto. They are sitting on the magic number of 2, which is the number of games, and magic number of 1, because if they win tonight, they win the AL East division. And Aaron Judge is still sitting at 60 home runs. So, Dustin, what's your take on the Yankees right now? Do they win tonight? Does Judge get his 60th or 61st? Excuse me. Uh, Give us some insight.
Well, for me, I do think the Yankees will win tonight. I think they're starting to, some of the injuries that they suffered. People are like Rizzo's back in the lineup now. Isaiah Connor-Falefra has been playing well. The pitching has been okay. Now, candidly, I haven't kept up with the Yankees as much. I've been in full football mode. So I think they do win tonight. I was disappointed. I thought they would get to Gosman a little bit more than they did last night, but he's pitched well in Toronto. But I don't know if Judge ties Maris tonight. I think that I want him to. I want to see history. But
Yep.
I think, as we discussed last week, I think he's starting to press naturally. I mean, who wouldn't be? But I think he might be thinking about it a little bit too much rather than going out and just trying to hit the ball.
Yeah. So it's currently 2-1 in the bottom of the third. Yankees are up 2-1. Aaron Judge is already is 0 for 1 right now. He walked and he lined out. He lined out the third on his first at bat, and he walked in his second at bat, but he scored a run on Gleyber Torres' single that put the Yankees up 2-1 in the top of the third. So I agree. I mean, I want to see. I would love to see history. I believe Roger Maris Jr. and Aaron Judge's mom were sitting together last night in the stands at the at Rogers Skydome. So I think it's interesting. One of our co-hosts, one of our hosts on our host of the Pesky Report podcast, which is one of our most popular podcasts at Belly Up Sports. They cover the Boston Red Sox pretty much every single day throughout baseball season and outside of baseball season. Brad Chandler put up a post on his personal Twitter page asking if the Maris, if he thought the Maris family was okay with Aaron Judge breaking the record. Honestly, does it really matter? I mean, records are meant to be surpassed.
Yeah.
And if they were okay with Mark McGwire hitting 62 back in 1998.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure they're okay with Aaron Judge hitting either tying and hopefully surpassing
Yes.
the AL record in 2022.
Yeah, I don't see a reason why they would be um I don't see why they would have a problem with it. But people can be funny sometimes. I know people can get protective of things like that, records and things, but I think the majority of people view them as records are meant to be broken. And by all accounts, Aaron Judge, I think, is a decent. I haven't heard anybody come out and say anything bad about him, so
No, no.
I think he's a good guy to break the record. And by all accounts, he's had a heck of a season, and I just like to see it happen.
Yeah, I think we all. I mean, I got to see. I remember watching McGuire
Mm-hmm.
break Maris's record back in 1998. I believe I still have the VHS tape
Oh, yeah,
somewhere. I'll
yeah.
have to convert it to digital sometime, but I still have it. I still remember it. But I think the Yankees will. It'll be fun to watch the Yankees beat the Blue Jays and wrap up the division in Sky Dome.
Mm-hmm.
Their happy snowman Sky Dome tonight. And hopefully Judge breaks the record, whether it be in Toronto or I believe the Yankees are back home next weekend to wrap up their schedule for the regular season. So they got no, yep, they're back at home Friday, Saturday, Sunday against Baltimore. Then they're wrapping up a 4-game set in Texas. So after tonight, he's got 8 games to try to win, try to tie and then surpass the record. So he's got plenty of games to go. I'm just hoping it's this week so we can kind of. So hey,
Yes.
yeah, you mentioned Dustin, so we can kind of relax and just say, hey, I did it. I broke the record. Okay, I'm gonna sit for a few more games, and or Boone might keep him in, or if he wants to stay in and try to get that triple crown, he'd be the
Yeah.
first. He'd be the first since Mickey Mantle to win the triple crown. The first
Yeah.
Yankee, I mean, to win the triple crown since
Yeah,
to
you
Mickey.
have to wonder if Boone's going to do that, because I know he's still the front runner right now, is he not? There's
Yep,
so
yep, I
yeah, you
believe
have to
so.
wonder.
Yeah,
You have to
so
wonder. We
hopefully
know that
it's
this happens sometimes in sports, and the players care about it. Memory is escaping me, but there was a running back that had an opportunity to break. I think at the time it was Sean Alexander's single season touchdown record, and the coach pulled him. And as I remember, the running back was not happy about that.
yeah. So Aaron Judge is hitting 314 with 60 home runs and 128 RBI. So yeah,
Yeah.
he's up in front of Luis Arias from Minnesota and Xander Bogaerts of Boston. If there's one thing that Boston's going to, every Red Sox fan is going to hang over the Yankees' head for this offseason, and if Bogaerts beats out Judge for that
Oh yeah,
batting title.
yeah. He got
So
the batting title, dude.
yeah, he got the batting titles. Xander Bogaerts over that fraud Aaron Judge. Whatever. Xander Bogaerts is probably not going to be a Red Sox in the next couple of seasons. So anyway, all right. So we got to talk about one more thing before we leave, and we're talking about this funny dugout standoff that happened over the weekend in Major League Baseball. And I found this on a Major League MLB Metrics Twitter page. So they got the video from Major League Baseball. I'm going to share that with you all for those who are watching.
Oh, this is a
It's
this
just a
is a
funny standoff.
fantastic clip.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And you gotta love the announcer's enthusiasm on this.
Oh my gosh. All right, here we go.
Nobody wants to give in. They're not moving. They're not moving.
Marvin Hudson, the third base umpire, trying to make it happen. So we have a slight delay.
Actually, all right, let me try this again. I'm not sure if the audio is coming through on the tab. Hang on 1 second here. Oh, there we go. Share system audio. There we go. Okay. There we go. We got it. So you'll have sound. You'll have sound now.
Wants to give in. They're not moving. They're not moving.
Marvin Hudson, the third base umpire, trying to make it happen. So we have a slight delay. Robbie has his sunscreen, so he's in good shape.
Robbie won!
Yes,
Robbie won!
That part gets me every time.
Well,
That part gets me every time.
Cy Young champion wins again.
I want to know how this
Standing ovation
started.
behind the Mariner dugout. A lot of Mariner fans. Nobody.
Yeah,
Oh, that's funny. That's funny though.
it is. It is. I want to know how it started. You know,
Yeah.
I know a lot of the baseball players are doing the game where they throw the gum on the field or something. I can't remember what it was. I saw it one night during a Yankee game, and apparently it's like, you know, a game that a lot of players are playing. But this looks like another one, the national anthem standoff.
This reminds me of in hockey. They play this game of chicken to see who's the first to leave the ice during the before a hockey game during a shoot around. I know Brad Marchand almost got a unsportsmanlike conduct penalty last year because he refused to leave the ice. I think it was against Toronto or Montreal. I can't remember which team it was, but he refused to leave the ice during warm-ups, and it kind of reminded me of that.
Yeah. I love that both guys got ejected for that. So that's Robbie Ray. He's winning games for the Mariners pitching, and he's also winning these national anthem standoffs.
So last year it was Mika Zibanejad and Brad Marchand. It was before the Bruins and Rangers, and you want to take a guess on how they decided it?
I have no idea. I'm stumped on this.
Rock, paper, scissors.
Oh, perfect. That is
Rock,
the way that
scissors. This was back in February of last year, and they went to rock, paper, scissors to decide who would leave the ice first, and it was that was fun. Actually, you know what? Since we got time, we might as well share this crazy touchdown that you alluded me to it because you're not a college football fan,
no,
per se, but you do appreciate a touchdown.
Yeah, and I was scrolling the gram, as they say, and I saw this clip. I think it was SportsCenter had it, and this is one of the craziest touchdowns I've ever seen in my life. I think it was the Arkansas and Texas A&M game.
Yep, it was.
Here we go.
We'll watch it right now.
Run it again down the line is Jefferson. First and goal. KJ's going to run it again. Diving, fumbles the ball, and Chappelle's got it.
Watch what happens.
Tyreek Chappelle in the right spot as he hands it off to Richardson. Here he goes. Wow! Can you believe this? What a turn! Touchdown in the most unexpected way possible.
You're not kidding.
Yeah.
Dig him again.
Oh, I could not believe, especially the part that blew me away the most was that Chappelle had the wherewithal to hand it off.
Yeah.
And that was unbelievable. And that's next level field awareness too, understanding where you are and the situation in the game, and to react that quickly to a surprising fumble like that. You're thinking that Arkansas is going to score. They dive over the top, guy loses the ball. He was Johnny on the spot on that one.
Yeah. And what's crazy is that Arkansas would have gone up 2 touchdowns at that point. That was a game-changing touchdown for Texas A&M, and having them do it in that fashion too, because that quarterback's trying to do his best Cam Newton impression, and only Cam Newton in his prime could have done that a lot better. But unfortunately for Arkansas, that kind of turned the game around, and they wound up losing that game by, I believe, 2 points. So, that was definitely a game-changing moment for Texas A&M in that game. And college football is fun to get into, especially watching the SEC. That was an SEC division game. There's some crazy rivalries down there, some crazy fun going down. So that was a as a fun moment, and Dustin had alluded me to it, so I figured we might as well feature it. By the way, if you're watching on YouTube, and if YouTube's watching, free and fair use, I don't own either clip of Dugout and the touchdown. So free and fair use, blah blah blah, legal stuff. Anyway, so before we go, just again, we'll remind you about Extra Life. Support Dustin is Extra Life fundraiser. It helps raise money for the Duker Children's Hospital at Albany Medical Center. You'll find his link down here. You'll find the link on the YouTube channel. I have it posted in the video for tonight's video. So Dustin, again, if you want to remind people about it, what's it all about, you have the floor.
Oh, thank you again, sir. Extra Life this is my 5th year doing it. It's a national charity. Well, actually, I think it's worldwide. But specifically, I will be raising money for as Ryan alluded to, the Bernard and Millie Duker Children's Hospital here at Albany Med. Extra Life raises money through video games to help fight childhood cancer. And to me, there's not too many causes that are more worthy than that one. So I'm going to be doing my part here, I believe, on November 5th. It's a Saturday. Also, the clocks fall back that Saturday, if I'm not mistaken. But
yep, they do.
Come by, support me if you can, donate if you can. I'll be gaming for a while. Don't know if I'm going to make it all 24 hours, but we're going to give it a shot here.
Yeah, and we'll try to do some try to do some live streaming on this channel too. We'll try to set it up on StreamYard so we have it on both Dustin's Twitch and on the No Credentials Required YouTube channel for a little bit too.
Oh, that'd be great. I got to figure out how that happens.
We'll figure it out. It's pretty easy on StreamYard. It's very, very easy to do. So we'll once we come to that once we come before we get to you playing your almost 24 hours of gaming, we'll figure it out by then. All right, yeah, easy.
Sounds good. We'll have a production meeting.
Yes. Beer and food and production meeting are in order for sure.
And again, where can people find your articles? Is it at Belly Up Sports?
Yes, my articles. You can find any of my writings, whether it be Jets related or just any sport in general related. Go to bellyupsports.com. You can just search my name. It's Ryan McCarthy. I'm easy to find. So yeah. So if you would read an article or two, I'd appreciate it.
I encourage you all, go and check out Ryan's writing. Even if he has to write about something that he doesn't want to write about, his command of the written word is second to none. So go check it out.
Thank you. Yeah. Last week I was drinking hard seltzer. This week I'm drinking my own tears, and they're salty and bitter. But anyway, thank you for watching. If you're watching live, I appreciate you watching. If you're watching the replay, I also appreciate you watching. And if you're listening, thanks for listening. So I remind you about our social media channels. If you're watching, we're right down below: Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, NoCredsREQ, Facebook.com/NoCredsREQ, YouTube. If you're watching right now, leave a thumbs up. Also, if you would subscribe, hit the notification bell. That way you know when we've either uploaded a video or we're going live. On the podcast side, as always, Spreaker is our home base, but you can subscribe on anywhere you find podcasts: Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, any podcast platform. Also, rate and review. It'll be very, very helpful. So, for my co-host, Dustin Henry, there we go. Yeah, there we go. I got it.
You got it. You got it.
For Dustin Henry, I'm Ryan McCarthy. Thank you for watching or listening to No Credentials Required, where you don't need a press pass to talk sports. We're presented by Belly Up Sports in association with Godzilla Media. Thanks again, folks. We'll talk to you next week, or if there's something special coming up and we want to do another live stream, we'll let you know. But in the meantime, take care. Have a great night.
See you next week, everybody. I'll have better lighting.